Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man, at your service, as ever. And in these times of heightened stress and worry and despair, you can always depend on me to have alcohol to hand, and a smile on my face, and a madcap zany attitude, and some incredibly rousing music as well. What are we going to talk about now, folks? What are we going to talk about? Let's go back, let's drift back to those halcyon days of the 80s, when high concept thrillers were all the rage. Gadget-laden vehicles where, the tools of fighting crime and evil. We put our trust in technology. And then things like the Terminator came out and we realised that technology could be quite shitty as well. This was Blue Thunder. In 1983 it came out. It was made slightly earlier than that and then kind of got delayed a little bit. John Badham, who had done the Dracula with Frank Langella in 1979, who would go on to do War Games and Stakeout, another Stakeout, and The Hard Way. He was a British director, but he really knew American terrors and fears and paranoias, and this is what played so well into Blue Thunder. Blue Thunder is an ultra high-tech, high-spec police law enforcement combat helicopter, which is brought in on the eve of what's going to be the build-up to the 1984 LA Olympics. No fiction there, that really happened. And the idea is that we're going to bring this helicopter in because obviously we don't want Molotov cocktail-wielding terrorists infiltrating the crowds and causing panic and bedlam on the streets of LA. We need something airborne to kind of keep peace of mind. Really? Enter Roy Scheider, the great Roy Scheider. He of the most awesome tan ever in Hollywood. Seriously. Rumour has it that Roy Scheider only took on board this particular movie to get out of doing Jaws 3, which came out, was being made the same sort of time, and he didn't want no more shark antics. I was turned down Arthur B Rubinstein's awesome synth score to Blue Thunder. I'll discuss that a bit more as we go on, because this score is just awesome. But yeah, the idea was 84's Olympics were looming on the horizon, and there was a lot of sort of civil unrest in America at this time. We were heading towards all those horrible riots and stuff, and a lot of racial tensions were happening. So people were beginning to worry that maybe something in the seething underbelly of minorities and mixed races and cultural, assimilation, which wasn't working too well in LA, particular hotbed, was going to bubble to a head, and things could get out of hand. So the concept is that this helicopter is brought in. It kind of mixing fact with fiction here as well, as the film does state at the very beginning, all the equipment and things that you see in use by the LAPD, or rather the Metropolitan LA Police Department, they're not called the LAPD in this, really exists. And it's true, they had surveillance birds like this with ultra sensitive recording equipment, microphones, video surveillance, thermal imaging gear. That existed back in the early 80s, of course it did. But the helicopter that you see in this movie, people go, oh, it's an Apache, oh, it's a prototype Black Hawk. No, it's an aerospatial Gazelle is what it is, but with lots of little modifications, lots of things bolted onto it to give it a kind of weird silhouette, to make it look slightly different, like a fucking big cannon on the front of it as well. As Roy Scheider, as the awesome Astro Division ace but maverick, they're always a maverick, aren't they? Maverick pilot officer says, like, it's as nose heavy as the Ayatollah because it's got this fucking cannon underneath it. He's teamed up, as they always are, because the 80s was the era of the buddy movies. It was the maverick guy with the more sensible guy, or the older guy with the younger guy. It was just, and he gets a partner, which is played by Daniel Stern. Daniel Stern, who I always remember from the film Chud, but he did go on to play one of the bad guys in Home Alone 1 and 2, and which, bizarrely enough, folks, I've never seen. any of them. I've seen enough clips of it to feel like I've seen the films, but I haven't. I have not sat and watched the films at all. And I know, hey, sacrilege, but it's the way it is. But Daniel Stern in this, he's young, he's green behind the ears, you know, he's definitely the newcomer. But the bond between him and Murphy is beautiful to watch it unfold, especially over the tragedy that will take place throughout the movie. Murphy, he's always in trouble with his bosses. The great Warren Oates. This is Warren Oates' second to last ever performance. He was very badly ill whilst making this. He plays the captain in charge of the Astro Division. They're based on a fucking rooftop of the police department, with all the helicopters and all that, like. And he's one of those quintessential captains who's always getting his ass chewed off by the big boss because his men are always breaking the rules, you know. And it's Roy Scheider's, you know, maverick aircopper that's always breaking the rules. A Vietnam veteran who was traumatized by an event in Vietnam, which you see flashbacks to. We keep seeing what looks like a North Vietnamese officer being dropped from his helicopter as he's looking over his shoulder, and he's haunted by this body slowly hitting the deck, and there's nothing he can do about it. You'll find out more as to, you know, the crux of that matter as this film unfolds. He's already in trouble. He's got to train this new guy, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, literally blue thunder is thrust upon them by some shady sort of federal CIA, Secret Service sort of guys, a heavy military spec. Murphy's been like grounded for another little misdemeanor, but all of a sudden he's drafted back in again, and they took out to some military testing ground to witness this helicopter in action. And it's a big street scene of all these dummies set up. The ones in white, you know, they're just civilians, but the ones in red, they're terrorists. Watch how he takes them out, and this fucking thing comes out of the sunrise, takes them, all these fucking targets out, and they're like, Jesus Christ, what is this supposed to be? Is it really to watch for terrorists, or is it really for crowd control? Exactly. It's Big Brother watching us again. That's the whole point of it. With its high-tech surveillance capabilities, it can home in on people's conversations in fucking skyscrapers 10 miles away. It can zoom down, you know, the cleavage of some hooker on the street from 1,000 feet up in the air, which it does do. In fact, the film is very sort of, there's a lot of its era racist comments and some very sexist comments as well. But, you know, it's you know, a child of its generation. Into this mix as well, you've got the assault and battery of a civic councillor who is heading up a task force to try to quell urban violence. And why is she being taken out? At the start of the film, Murphy and Daniel Stern's Lyman Good, Officer Lyman Good, are assigned to go and help this woman who's being attacked in her own garage port by people who've broken into her homestead. And they arrive in time, cops arrive in time, and the perpetrators are actually shot dead. So the witnesses are all killed, but she's shot in the shoulder, this poor councillor woman. And she's robbed as well. And then mysteriously she seems to die of a shoulder wound. The next day in hospital, Murphy smells a rat. And they're also saying that she was attempted rape. And he's saying, well, we were above there, we were watching it. In their, not in Blue Thunder, in their normal helicopter. And he's saying, oh, there was no attempted rape. Listen, we've got 2 dead bodies with tags on their toes that say otherwise. No, and the only witness, the victim, has died as well. Case closed. Murphy doesn't believe a fucking word of that shit. You know, he knows when there's a conspiracy afoot. But his prying nature is going to get him into trouble. He is going to end up being the guy to test drive the Blue Thunder helicopter over the skies of LA with Lyman Good as his partner. They go out and they do test it and they experience all the clever gadgetry. But in the meantime, you've learned that the guy who was behind this prototype, the guy who's massively, nastily, nefariously involved in this whole deal to bring Blue Thunder into the skies is none other than Colonel Cochrane, played by Malcolm McDowell, the great Malcolm McDowell, who has a previous relationship with Murphy, because as it turns out, they were both in Vietnam together, and it was actually Malcolm McDowell's renegade colonel who threw this NVA officer out of the helicopter. And when Murphy sees it, in the flashback, you finally learn that it's Cochrane who says, "Back to base." And that's what gave the trauma to Murphy, who then would not go back for another tour of Vietnam. So the two of them have this grudge against each other. Over the course of the movie, Murphy will learn that this whole thing has been a setup to create Blue Thunder, to quell civil unrest, because they suspect, in fact they're trying to build up a civil insurrection. And when that happens, this helicopter and obviously draconian new laws are going to come in. Just ring any bells with anyone at the moment? So he begins to think, hang on a minute, this can't happen, can't be allowing this. And this councilwoman had got onto it. She'd begun to realise that someone was stirring up trouble in the barrio, someone was stirring up trouble with the ethnic races on purpose to create a riot, a street scenario where this thing would be used to prove its value, its worth. So they killed her to shut it up. Murphy and Lyman Good managed to eavesdrop on a big power meeting of Cochrane, Malcolm McDowell, and all these federal bureaucratic two-faced political bastards, these nefarious insiders, and they record it, and they've got old vintage style videotapes with thermographics and that, but they've got all the dialogue and you can tell who's saying it, and they keep that. They've got to keep it safe, they've got to make it public. But of course, even the helicopter, when it's in whisper mode, which means instead of going whisper mode, that was technologically possible back then as well, pure stealth mode. And they're outside this high rise while this horrible, nefarious powwow's taking place, and they're recording it all. And then Malcolm McDowell, in a great moment, he says, "Do you want me to take Murphy out?" And I said, "Yeah, can you do it quickly?" So they're hearing this guy plotting to kill Murphy, and they're like, shit. And then Cochrane goes, "I'll do it, yeah, no worries." Has a swig of his whiskey and opens the curtains, and outside is Blue Thunder sitting there in the sky. And these guys are like, "Oh shit, we've been sussed. Right, we've got to get him now." And thus begins the epic final act of the movie, where sadly Lyman Good, who has the recording of all this and hides it, assassins go out, they beat him up, he makes a getaway, but they run him down and kill him. And then they try and set Murphy up as being the guy that killed his own partner, because they've got to silence Murphy. Murphy's got all these secrets, he knows what's going on, and he could go public with it if he wants to. That's what he's going to do. So he's getting set up. Murphy's now on the run. Murphy manages to get back into Blue Thunder, and he manages to play back a recording that Lyman Good left for him, saying basically, "Look, where I've hidden that video cassette, it's in a dumpster by the drive-in down in so-and-so and Valley." I don't know, all the LA fucking place names, I don't know. There's me going the barrio, like I know what that is. I don't know. I just sit here, make videos. Actually, I have been to LA. I didn't like it. Like the song says, just a great big fucking car park. San Diego though. Love San Diego. Anyway, so Murphy's now on the run, and he steals Blue Thunder. He gets the awesome Candy Clarke. I've always had a thing for Candy Clarke. She was in a lot of movies during the late 70s and throughout the 80s, a lot of genre stuff. And she's, if ever a character, an actor or an actress was kooky, she's the one. And she would be the kooky co-star in so many great B movies and horrors and thrillers. And I love her to bits. I think she's got such the cutest little face. And she's like Murphy's girlfriend. She's got a son of her own, and they're kind of estranged, but they really should be together, and they're trying to patch things up. He has got his recurring nightmares, his traumas, but he's a pretty happy-go-lucky sort of guy. But he's got to do the job, he's focused on that. And now, of course, this whole crusade of his takes over his brain. But he will recruit Kate, as her name is, to go and find that cassette, and he will instruct her to go and deliver it straight to these TV hosts from this big TV company. They'll broadcast it all. They're the only ones that they can trust. And he'll direct it from the air. So she was in a Vega, and she'd be hurtling down the streets of LA. Cops in pursuit. Murphy in Blue Thunder is going to take out the cop cars, whilst not actually hurting the cops inside, to a degree, you know, and try and steer her there. In the meantime, they're going to unleash SWAT helicopters after him, which he's got to take out as well and evade. He's then got to contend with 2 F-16 jets with heat-seeking missiles, which are going to go after him as well, as Cochran says. Because they've got this, what they're terming as a mad sniper in the air, in this Blue Thunder helicopter. You can't trust him, he's a villain. He's already a murderer. It's all bullshit. He's the only hero left in the movie. Warren Oates, his captain, is beginning to think, there's something not right here. This guy, I don't trust any of you people, and I do trust my man up in the air. Excuse me. But Cochran says, like, look, they're going like, look, we can't put F-16s in the air over LA. They fire missiles, those things. And he goes, well, yes, because he's English as well. I mean, Malcolm McDowell can't really do anything other than being English, and he's a really arrogant bastard as well. Like, it's just superb for his character. And he's like, no, they fire heat-seeking missiles. We can take him out in the air, like removing a tumour. And like, the captain's like, he's not a tumour, he's a man, he's my man. And anyway, Murphy will manage to outwit even the F-16s, which is a bit implausible. When a heat-seeking missile is fired from 4 miles away at you, it's only going to take a matter of seconds before it actually hits you. And yet he seems to have time to like maneuver around and like steer, his engine, his thermonuclear signal, his thermal signal in front of like, a huge barbecue chicken ranch in the middle of downtown LA. And in a rather nice bit of sort of retro poetic justice, it's a Chinese fucking barbecue chicken thing, and it gets blown sky high and it rains down, fried chickens and all the cop cars and the passers-by. But given what China's just unleashed upon the world, you've got that coming. Not my words. Ooh, politics there, Kilt-Man, politics. But the film is political. It's totally about the corruption of power, and the dominance of governments who want to like subjugate the masses and lie, and they'll kill and assassinate to keep their secrets. And they want to bring in all this kind of stuff to try and keep the masses down. That's what it's all about. And Murphy unleashes all this. He discovers it, and he's gonna go public with it. And that big final sequence is just amazing. The film has some of the best, airborne stunts going. They are flying Gazelles and Bell Jet Rangers through the streets and the high-rises of LA. Nowadays, you could not get that. That would just not happen. You couldn't get the permits. You would not be able to license the actors to be in these vehicles as they're hurtling through the sky. And you just wouldn't be able to do it. You would not be able to do it. You wouldn't get camera crews up there either. It just wouldn't happen. The whole thing would be pure CG. But no, back when John Badham made this, there's only a few shots where you've got models. Like the F-16s, there's definitely a few shots where they are models flying through the air. But there also real ones are there as well. But the helicopters, and the way they're going around city blocks, and they're playing hide and seek. One's going behind, one's coming in front, and they're ducking and diving. One will lie in wait as it comes past, and then unleash. It's just incredible. They fly down, the dry riverbed. I always call it the storm drains. I always see, you see it in Terminator 2, you see it in, most famously for me, in the 1950s big bug creature feature, Them, about the giant ants, which make a nest in the storm drains. And I just see all that big, concrete dry riverbed as just being a big storm drain. Murphy leads the SWAT helicopters on a merry goose chase down these, weaving in and out of the air. The bridge overhang struts. It's just incredible stuff. Roy Scheider, absolutely awesome. Love the guy to bits. He wears, John Badham, the director, gave him his watch because his watch had a digital countdown on it. Because he does a sanity check each time. He's heard that, excuse me, that's not COVID, by the way. That's food I had just before, which is, never eat just before you're going to talk at length, because a little bit will come back up your throat and start tickling away there. Which is why lubrication is the order of the day. He's heard that one of the signs of mental disintegration is that if you shut your eyes, you lose the track of time. So if you can't tell the difference between 5 seconds and 30 seconds, there's something wrong there. So he does like a 30-second timer. So when he drives his Pontiac Trans Am out of the police garage, he'll go up the ramps, weaving in and out of all the bollards at high speed, showing his reflexes off as well and his sense of timing. And he'll set that 30 seconds, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And that will also pay dividends at the end. You know how film is set up? This is a little device that I do. You know now, because of the formula of these sort of movies, that's going to happen again. So at the end, when Cochran finally goes after him, Colonel Cochran, Malcolm McDowell, against orders, he gets in another Bell Jet Ranger and flies up to intercept Murphy. For some reason, he seems to know this aircraft is bulletproof, and the SWAT teams have been shooting at it, everything's been shooting at it, no damage at all. Cochran gets up there and he manages to fire a couple of shots off and disables the fucking machine, the Gatling gun in the nose cone, and and also manages to get a bullet through the one of the side windows, which in a great moment actually hits Scheider. Unsuspectingly, he's just flying away and he suddenly gets hit, window shatters, and blood just goes all over the glass. And you feel it, you go, oh no! But it won't keep our boy down though. He's famous as well, Murphy, for having done a loop-the-loop, which, it's been possible to do a loop-the-loop in a helicopter, an inverted loop or whatever you call it, for many, many years, even prior to this film was getting made. So it's not like totally impossible. But in the film, I heard you did a loop-the-loop one time. Like, they didn't really do that, did you? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. And but Cochran teases him, like, well, go on, Murphy. When they're going after like test runs, go on, Murphy. You want to show us that loop now? Negatory. Yeah, didn't think you would, because it's impossible. And of course, that pays off at the end. The big climactic duel between Cochran and Murphy. Murphy does do the big loop-the-loop. And Cochran tries to emulate it, and he's going, that's impossible. But of course, Murphy's done this as Cochran's doing the climb. And even though his machine gun's been disabled from the auto, the computerized weapon system, he can fire it manually. So as he comes down like that, and Cochran's still climbing, he just opens up and unleashes, fucking blows Cochran to bits. In the meantime, Candy Clarke has managed to deliver the tape after multiple chases through the streets of LA, and even being intercepted by another CIA fucking bastard who tries to get in there first, but gets a pistol in the back of his head and gets clubbed out. And they finally realise that the sniper in the sky was the good guy after all. Murphy then sets Blue Thunder down on the tracks, of a transport train, a freight train, and the train's thundering towards it. And in a great moment, you see from all different angles, it does hit the helicopter, boom, 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 destroys this what is definitely, you know, it would be one of the prized jewels in American law enforcement and even military airborne capabilities. It gets destroyed. And you think, no, Murphy! But what Murphy's done, he's set that little timer and he's got out just in time. And the final shot is him walking away from the wreckage, walking towards us. And Arthur B Rubinstein's music kicks in again. I love this movie so much. The action, the sense of humour, the sense of tragedy. Once Murphy plays back that sad recording, they always call the new boy Jaffo, and that Lyman Good doesn't even know what it means. What's Jaffo mean? And even give him a cap with Jaff, J-A-F-O written on it. And only on that final epitaph, that his post demise, his words from beyond the grave, he says like, oh, by the way, I finally found out what Jaffo means. Just another fucking observer. Because that's all he is. Because he rides shotgun. He's the observer while Murphy's the pilot and the proper full-fledged officer. He's the observer. But as I say, the camaraderie between the two, even though they start off a bit of a mismatched sort of couple, they gel pretty much straight away. They've got a sense of humour. They have a laugh together. And that bond, two great actors make that work. And you feel the warmth and the chemistry. And you want these two to survive. And when Lyman Good, his hands are tied, he's been beaten, they've broken his fingers to try and get the whereabouts of this tape, and he manages to get away, get out of his house, and he's running down the streets, and he's pursued by the great screen villain, Anthony James. You'll know Anthony James. He has a gaunt face, bulbous eyes, and a Terry Pockmark face. He's a bad guy in absolutely everything he's ever appeared in. He's been a bad guy. Be it Western, be it comedy, be it fucking Heart to Heart, be it The Equalizer, be it, I don't know, fucking Magnum. He's always been a bad guy. He looks just like the epic horror icon, Reggie Nolder. Reggie Nolder played Barlow the vampire in Tobe Hooper's Salem's Lot with David Soul. Yes, that vampire. Because they had the same very gaunt, pinched-in face. Very iconic, unusual looking fellas. And Anthony James looks just like Reggie Nolder. And he runs Lyman Good down. Lyman Good's running. And in one gaff, his hands are tied behind his back. And he turns a corner and he hits a cyclist. And his hand, obviously, because it's a stunt, the stuntman's hands come out of that to hit the ground in a split second. And then all of a sudden, they're taped up again. And he's kneeling down, injured. And Anthony James just runs him over, and it's like, oh no. So when you hear him say like, oh, just another fucking observer, he laughs. And you see Murphy's just like, he's lost his friend. And then he's sitting in the cockpit of Blue Thunder, and this sort of, some twat will come in and go like, hey, you shouldn't be in there, get the fuck out of there. And Murphy's just like that, just sitting there. It's a great moment for Scheider. He just goes, and just pulls a gun out, get the fuck away from me, I am. And the guy's like, whoa. And that's when Murphy realises, now, I'm off, I'm going to do this. Folks, I said I'd talk about the music. Arthur B Rubinstein's score. He worked with John Badham a lot. He did the Stakeout and the Stakeout, Hardway, War Games. It's mainly synth, Synclavier 2, which Alan Silvestri used so well in Delta Force. And you got that gives you that glistening, high-end gleam. But he also used the Prophet, the Jupiter and the Moog synthesizers. But there's also a string ensemble, a brass ensemble and a percussion ensemble at various points in the score. But this main theme, there are so many permutations throughout the movie. It's heroic. It's got a sense of poignancy to it as well, which I love. Themes like this, not only are they exhilarating and exciting, but it kind of like, there's moments in it where you go, oh, it kind of gets you as well. It's clever stuff, that. Let's get into We're going to run out of time here, I know. I'm looking at the countdown on my countdown. Pulsating, rhythmic. And Cochrane's got this horrible thing of like, catch you later. And follow my lead. We're following his lead. The sparring between him and Murphy is brilliant. Catch you later. Just want to smack him in the face. Scheider and Malcolm McDowell became very, very good friends during the making of this movie. Very firm friends. I just love this music. Folks, Blue Thunder. It spawned a TV show as well with the great James Valentino. I love James Valentino, who took over the role from Scheider. It was a TV version, obviously, so the violence and the swearing was obviously removed from it. But I know I watched it, but I don't remember any of it. I don't remember a single episode of it at all, so it can't have been that good. But the film, Blue Thunder, folks, well recommended. Full throttle, high concept, exciting as fuck. It's what you need in times like this. Folks, going to leave it there because this is going to cut out. So I'm going to see you all later. In fact, catch you later. Keep it kilted, keep it Celtic, and follow my lead.